This week, the sky is the limit for the crypto industry in general. We have analysis on the impact that staking rates have on HBAR's relative performance, a really cool stablecoin development, and plenty of Hedera retail app updates as well. Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, here once again to bring you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. But as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So the first thing we're going to get into is a little bit on the negative side. It's around ATMA. Let's get through this so we can get to all the really good stuff that's happening as well. So I'm actually surprised that this didn't come from the HBAR Foundation, but it actually came through the Hedera help desk. And it has some answers to what the Hedera community has been asking on social media. The first question is, has ATMA concluded its use of the Hedera consensus service? And the answer is, Avery Dennison's ATMA.io connected product cloud has ceased to use the Hedera consensus service. This change reflects business and client needs. Second, what is the relationship between Avery Dennison and Hedera? Avery Dennison will continue to serve on the Hedera Council, providing strategic guidance on Hedera's network codebase and governance. And Avery Dennison's professional ties to the Hedera ecosystem remain strong. Third, will there be regular updates about product changes or decisions? And it says, while Hedera aims to be transparent about changes, it does not plan to provide regular updates on the product and technology decisions made by the ATMA.io product team. As an open source public network, Hedera does not control who builds on the platform. And finally, how has ATMA.io contributed to the performance of the Hedera network? ATMA.io has acted as a significant stress test for the Hedera network, showcasing its robust performance capabilities and its ability to manage large-scale transactions. One thing with the ATMA.io use case is I wasn't sure if it was going to find that product market fit. It's not just supply chain by tracking the objects through the supply chain. It was tracking the carbon usage as these objects move through the supply chain. And that's clearly brand new, and I wasn't sure if that was going to find traction. Now, it may with the Hyundai use case, which is really similar, but it's not like a lot of the use cases Hedera has that clearly have product market fit. Some examples I can give is SKUX with payments. They already have a customer who is really engaged in Mondelez. We have Neuron with DPIN and Internet of Things, particularly in the aviation industry where they already have customers lined up. And then we have retail applications like Karate Combat and some of our gaming teams that are without a doubt gaining a ton of users. And this brings me to my next point. There are two paths to crypto network sustainability. One has been proven out, and one of them isn't quite there, even though we think it has tremendous potential. The one that has been proven out is the retail side of things. We see Ethereum and we see Solana that are already sustainable, mainly because of things like meme coins and DeFi and gaming and things like that. Sure, a lot of it is speculative, but there are real things happening there, and there will be tons of proof of concepts that the other side could potentially use as well. Plus, it attracts a lot of capital into the ecosystem. And a big part of that retail side of things is the base layer token. In Hedera's case, that's HBAR. And you contrast that to what Hedera has mainly been pursuing, and that's enterprise use cases. I think enterprise use cases in the long run will have a much larger impact, but they take a long time to actually come to market. It takes a long time to just change the psychology of those enterprises to see the fantastic tools that we have to build completely new products. So that is a really long evolution. Well, in the meantime, we can focus on the retail side of things, and eventually they'll come around. I think one of the number one things we want to do to focus on that retail side is have laser focus on the HBAR and the HBAR holders. The best way to do that, and you've heard me talk about this over and over again, is staking rewards. It's a great way to, in a decentralized way, distribute the token and attract capital into our ecosystem. Now, to get into the meat of it, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent first. I was talking to an HBARbarian a couple weeks ago, and he indicated that the higher staking rewards that we saw over a year ago on Hedera did not have an impact on the network, and the number of accounts staking didn't show a correlation. What surprised me about this is I never thought of the number of accounts staking as a metric to look at for the impact of staking rewards. Maybe the total HBAR staked, but not the total accounts staking. That said, the real metric is relative performance of the HBAR against other tokens that have staking incentives. From following the markets, I knew HBAR had performed better when we had staking rewards at 6.5%, but I hadn't crunched those numbers. As you can see, I've done that now. I didn't cherry pick tokens, they just needed to have a staking reward, have been around since at least 2022, and in my view are competitors with Hedera for capital. I included AVAX, Ether, Algo, Tron, Phantom, Link, Cardano, and Solana. The first date in this series are token prices when the initial Hedera staking rewards were announced at 6.5%, as that is when market participants would have likely started making adjustments. The second date was when the reduction of staking rewards was announced that took place just over a year later. During that 6.5% regime, HBAR outperformed the competition slightly by a couple percent. From the time it was announced that staking yield was going to be reduced to today, HBAR has underperformed by 167%. And even if we remove Solana, which might be considered an outlier, we still underperformed by 85%. And while there's other variables, I'm confident that this is the primary reason for HBAR's underperformance. The next question is, what impact does this have on Hedera and its potential to succeed as a network? I look at it very simply. By having higher staking rewards, every HBAR that's sold to build the network and ecosystem brings in twice as much capital, and this will only compound in a bull market. Now, across all of the builders with HBAR revenue, Hedera, Swirlds, Hashgraph, the HBAR Foundation, and the Hashgraph Association, I don't know how much HBAR is sold, but we'll say it's $1.5 billion annually. The capital inflow from higher staking rewards is like having an extra $1.5 billion HBAR to work with. And if you compare that to the less than 500 million HBAR it would take to return staking rewards to 6.5%, it should be a simple decision. Now, I'm not saying it has to be 6.5%, but it needs to be at least competitive. To get that HBAR, I think some belt tightening could take place, so you need to save some money, as well as allocating fresh resources. And I think it would also cause increased excitement and attention, leading to more usage, which would allow for more revenue, taking the edge off of that cost. So why am I bringing this up again now? Well, I see with the shifts on the regulatory landscape, on the political landscape that took place this week, and I'm not talking about any of the other policies, I'm just keeping my HBAR bull hat on, and it's going to be good for the crypto industry. A lot of the uncertainty around regulation for the crypto space is going to be alleviated. Essentially, I think we have clear skies for the next 4 years, and we should take advantage of that. I think we're going to have a roaring bull market going into the next year, and we really have one shot to get it right. To do that, we need to put our focus and resources in the right place. From the rumblings I've heard, it sounds like there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I don't know what that looks like, but I hope that part of it is a refocusing on the retail ecosystem for Hedera, and that starts with staking rewards where they really should be. I couldn't be more excited for everything that's going on in the Hedera space, but we have to get it right. In another 10 years, I think, regardless if we get this right or not, Hedera is going to find a niche, but I don't want Hedera just to find a niche. I want it to revolutionize the world. It has the ability to do so, but to do that, we need to get our fair share of capital. So let's put the focus where it needs to be and get this stuff done. All right, the next thing we're going to get into is in the stablecoin space, and it's actually coming from Fresh Supply Co., who has led a pretty impressive initiative. Now, apparently this was announced at the FinTech Festival that just took place this past week by Fresh Supply Co. David Indarius, the CEO and founder of Fresh Supply Co., who we've had a couple times on in the past, outlined all of this in a few posts. He explained what was announced at the FinTech Festival. He said, the Digital Asset Alliance, a coalition of leading Philippine banks and fintech companies, is excited to announce the launch of PHPX, the first ever multi-bank collateralized PHP stablecoin. The first ever multi-bank collateralized PHP stablecoin built on the advanced infrastructure of Hedera Hashgraph. Known for its high security, low and consistent fees, quantum resistance, and eco-friendly low-carbon footprint, Hedera Hashgraph provides a secure and efficient foundation for PHPX, empowering Filipinos with the next generation of financial solutions. In a groundbreaking development, PHPX is the first stablecoin in the region to be backed by a multi-bank consortium starting with RCBC, Cantillon Bank, the Rural Bank of Guinabaden, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Union Bank, with several other additional banks poised to join. This multi-bank support brings an unprecedented level of stability, security, and trust to digital assets in the Philippines. Fresh Supply Co. has partnered with Ayana Philippines to form Just Finance, the technology provider powering PHPX and supporting the Digital Asset Alliance's mission to drive financial inclusion through secure, on-chain solutions. Explaining the alliance a little further, he said, the Digital Asset Alliance is a coalition of banks, asset managers, and fintech leaders focused on advancing financial inclusion in the Philippines through secure digital solutions. With a commitment to harness blockchain technology, the Alliance aims to deliver the most trusted PHP stablecoin and create an efficient, inclusive financial landscape. PHPX enables Filipinos to hold PHP on-chain with easy conversion to major stablecoins, including USDC and EURC. It also facilitates access to tokenized real-world assets, including USD and euro-denominated bonds and ETFs. Core aspects of PHPX include multi-bank collateralization, real-time auditing, and bankruptcy remote stability. The last thing that I want to highlight that he said is the Philippines receives $42 billion annually in remittance inflows, one of the largest in the world. PHPX aims to streamline these critical transactions, providing lower transaction costs and faster settlement times. However, PHPX's impact goes beyond remittances. The Digital Asset Alliance is focused on expanding Web3 infrastructure within traditional banking, bringing secure blockchain-powered solutions to nearly 20 million customers of consortium banks. Now, of course, that doesn't tell the entire full story. We want to get into some of that nuance, and to do that, I'm going to try to get David on next week to give us the inside track. Either way, it's really exciting what he's doing. He's certainly been a champion. He's been talking about how bullish he is, not just on Hedera, but the HBAR as well. So it's going to be good to have that conversation, hopefully, again next week. The next thing I want to get into is DeFi. We're going to shift gears here a little bit. Now, I had Brady from Bonzo Finance on a couple weeks ago, but I want to get him on a little bit more of a regular cadence. We're going to call it DeFi Corner to get into all the things that we want people to be taken advantage of, getting into the metrics, getting into the latest news, and so forth. So let's listen to what Brady has to say. Brady, welcome back. I know we just had you on a couple weeks ago, but I think we're going to make this more of a regular thing. One of the issues I run into is the Hedera ecosystem is expanding a lot. There's a lot to cover, and where initially it seemed like I could cover most of the big stuff that was going on, now because it's becoming so diverse and there's so many different topics, I can't stay an expert in all of them. And one of those spaces that, even though I dabble in it a lot, I can't keep up with everything that's going on. That's DeFi. And you're neck deep in that ecosystem, building your own product in that ecosystem. So I was hoping we could get you on some kind of a regular cadence just to go over all the cool stuff that's happening in DeFi. Sound good?
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, and it's been quite an adventure with Bonzo Finance recently, jumping in, also working with the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance. And so there's usually every week or couple weeks something really interesting to talk about related to DeFi on Hedera, and trying to keep everybody up to date with how the space is moving.
All right. So why don't you just dive into what's going on here in the Hedera DeFi space?
Yeah, absolutely. At Bonzo Finance, what we've done here is created an update on the Hedera DeFi Plus ecosystem. And this is the latest data from November 7th, which is today when we're recording this. And we view these metrics as some of the most important metrics to determine the health of the DeFi ecosystem. We've also included a couple metrics that fall just outside of the DeFi ecosystem related to NFTs as well as staking. So we'll see here that we've got DeFi TVL on Hedera. It's sitting at $70 million US. It's a drop from last month by about 10%, but also prices tend to kind of continue to fluctuate. So TVL is in many cases determined by both price as well as the assets themselves that are being locked up in DeFi protocols across the ecosystem. DEX volume is looking very healthy at around 45 million per month. Stablecoin liquidity is sitting at about $10.5 million right now, and that's in USDC. What I found really interesting in building out these metrics is that about 1/5 of the stablecoin liquidity that is minted on Hedera is actually locked in DeFi protocols. So it's considered TVL. 10 million and 2 million, I feel like relative to other networks across the ecosystem, across Web3 really, it's still small numbers, but we are starting to see this grow a bit more. I know, speaking to Bonzo Finance as a lending protocol, stablecoin liquidity is just so important, and has this unique ability to be able to amass a decent amount of stablecoin liquidity and make that available to the ecosystem. So we're really looking forward to that. One metric that I found very cool and interesting, and this was from Tierbot Analytics, was the total token circulating supply market cap. So essentially all of the tokens that are available on Hedera multiplied by their individual prices. And it's only the circulating supply of those tokens. But what it ends up being is around $1.19 billion worth of tokens on the network, which, I had not seen that metric before. And I think that's a really interesting one to track. It's all of the assets that are available as fungible tokens on Hedera. NFT ecosystem market cap. So again, this is from Tierbot Analytics, but we're sitting at about $25.5 million worth of NFTs. And the trading volume of those NFTs is around 343,000 per month. Again, that's another Tierbot Analytics metric there. I think in terms of a breakout of the marketplaces where a lot of that's coming from, I see Centex and then also Kabila Market, sort of the two top ones there. And then two final metrics, liquid staking APY, which is Stater Labs liquid staking of HBAR X. That's at about 4.5% right now. And then native staking for HBAR is at about 0.14%. Any thoughts on these metrics, Brandon?
No, I think, we need to just kind of have that baseline and then we can kind of go forward from there. I love the fact that you have month over month on those first two metrics. I think we can add those to all the other ones and kind of see how we progress over time.
Yeah, definitely want to sort of keep expanding out on this. And good point on baseline. I think as we continue to do this, we want to try to make DeFi Corner a regular thing. We can sort of watch the DeFi ecosystem progress and, hopefully just the entire ecosystem having sort of a better insight and constant view of these metrics. I think when we're all looking at the same metrics and the same scoreboard, we end up asking better questions and we end up focusing efforts on how do we improve the things that we see as most important for the health of the ecosystem.
Brady, I completely agree. And looking at the right side of the screen, this is some of the stuff that I'm interested in as well. It's things that are going on in the DeFi space that we want to take advantage of, different news items. So what's important that we have coming up here in the DeFi space?
Yeah, so I think just as important as the metrics, it's what are the things that are happening in the ecosystem that actually may be having an impact on those metrics. And so, pulled sort of some of the latest updates that I've seen from DeFi projects on the network. And, just a quick mention, if you are a DeFi project on Hedera and there are exciting updates and other things that you would want to have included in DeFi Corner, please reach out to me over Twitter DM is probably the best, and let me know what you've got cooking, and I'll make sure to include that in this. So hopefully I captured a good amount of stuff, but if I missed anything, sincere apologies on that. We'll definitely capture it next time. But the latest is Bonzo Finance did have their mainnet launch last Monday. It's sitting at about 3.7 million in TVL, which quickly grew. I think one of the fastest growing. So we were really excited and proud about the launch of Bonzo Finance. And, it should have an impact on TVL and then hopefully second order effects on decentralized exchanges like Saucer Swap and HSuite and HeliSwap, where it increases trading volume and also borrowed assets can be deposited as TVL as well. HLiquidity saw that they've integrated into DeFi Llama, which is awesome. That obviously directly has an impact on TVL for the Hedera network. They're sitting at about 750,000 in TVL, which is very exciting to see. So big congrats to their team. Saucer Swap this week had their Lari Epoch 26, which kicked off. And so that is around 157,000 HBAR that gets provided to V2 pool suppliers, as well as a number of additional assets as well. I think I saw Pack and Jam, Dovu. There's a few others there, so definitely go check that out. Hedera had an update through HIP 904 for frictionless airdrops. That HIP passed and was released in the recent codebase change. So it's live on mainnet now. Airdrops are just very fundamental to any kind of project with a fungible token on the network. Being able to do airdrops helps quickly grow adoption and usage and awareness. And so having a better mechanism by which to do airdrops on Hedera, I think is going to be very impactful. So big props to the engineering team, I think at Hashgraph for pushing that out the door. I think that's great. DaVinci Graph. So DaVinci Graph is a token management solution, decentralized token management solution. They have their own token DaVinci. They're going to be doing an airdrop to their NFT holders on November 15th for around 500,000 DaVinci tokens. So big congrats to them and very excited for that. And then HSuite has Smart Nodes V2, which is coming online. And that's sort of an expansion of their original Smart Nodes product, where it's open source, it's permissionless, folks can go in and start to operate a node. They're doing registration for that. So it's sort of a community nodes type setup, and that's from November 4th to the 15th. And it looks like they're shooting for mainnet in January of 2025.
Well, thanks, Brady. Now, I also want to add one more thing. I want to get your DeFi thought on the week.
Yeah. So DeFi thought on the week for me is around stablecoin liquidity, actually. I think, and this is sort of selfishly in a sense with regards to Bonzo Finance. Stablecoins are so critical for decentralized lending protocols. They really open up the door when you have sufficient liquidity of them in the lending protocol. They open up the door to these more advanced DeFi strategies that the protocol enables. So, when people think about lending and borrowing protocols, yes, you can lend and borrow assets, but when you have the inclusion of stablecoins as a supported asset there, it opens up the door to so much more, things like longing and shorting assets, being able to do things more on leverage. It is always, in looking at lending protocols across the ecosystem, it is always the most utilized and typically one of the highest supplied assets, just because of the flexibility that stablecoins offer. Relative to the rest of Web3, competing layer one networks, stablecoin liquidity on Hedera, as we all know, is really low. And it does, I think, take a village to really focus on that metric and the liquidity of stablecoins in order to see it be successful. We saw Algorand, I think, recently really do a hard push on boosting their stablecoin liquidity. Last I checked on USDC.cool, it was sitting at around, I think, 45 million or so. I think that effort is through, various organizations that are supporting the network. Essentially, they could be having kept their operational treasuries in Algorand USDC, or maybe there's other opportunities with market makers that they've done. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can sort of look at boosting stablecoin liquidity, but it is a metric that I think the rest of Web3 is looking at as an indicator as to the success of a layer one network, and in particular to its DeFi ecosystem, just because that ecosystem is usually the heaviest users of stablecoin assets. So, I want to see stablecoin liquidity get boosted. I really hope that there's a concerted and focused effort across some of these larger organizations that are supporting the Hedera network to figure out a path that we can make this successful. And I know we can. I think we just need to focus our efforts and think through what we can do to make this possible.
I think that makes perfect sense. And from the retail perspective, I think with on and off ramps like Braille, we could see increases there. I'm planning on bringing some of the dry powder that I have on the sidelines on through that once I see how all that works. The other thing is, you have a great point there that we already have treasuries out there sitting at, Swirlds and the HBAR Foundation and so forth. And they already have HBAR as well. So they can take their dollar liquidity, transfer that into USDC, and then pair that up in our DeFi ecosystem with the HBAR they already have on hand, and we can bump our liquidity up pretty significantly that way. So like you said, this is new. We're just starting off the DeFi Corner, so we want as many suggestions as you can get. So if anybody has anything you think we could improve on, go ahead and let us know about that, and we'll try to incorporate it as soon as possible. Brady, thanks for hopping on, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
So one of the things that I'm hoping for around Bonzo Finance is that they have borrowing before next week. Right now, you can only supply to the platform, but I'm hoping they're going to get borrowing here before too long. And the reason why I want to see that is because the next Karate Combat event is coming up just in a few days. And I'd love to be able to see people that want to be able to borrow some additional karate so they can stake even more tokens on the fighters they think are going to win. Now, that next Karate Combat event is Kickback 3. That is going to be on Thursday, November 14th at 6 a.m. Eastern. The reason why it's at such an odd time is because it's taking place Thursday evening in Bangkok. So really, for that Bonzo strategy, that borrowing strategy to work, they're going to have to introduce borrowing on Monday. Fingers crossed that's going to happen. So sticking with DeFi, we're going to move on to Headstarter. One of the OGs in the Hedera space is Tudor. He is their CEO and co-founder, and he lays out all kinds of really cool stuff in this upcoming interview. Not just stuff that's going on with Headstarter, but they do have some really cool stuff going on, but also the DeFi space in general. So let's check that out. Tudor, welcome back. How you been?
It's great to be here with you, Brendan. Me and the whole team were very big fans of your show, and I'm happy to be here to hash it out with you.
Well, it's always my pleasure. Now, it's been a while, so to start off, can you just give us a refresher on what Headstarter is and what it provides to the HBAR economy?
So at Headstarter, we started off by wanting to support Hedera ecosystem builders and projects by offering them access to decentralized funding as well as a initial user base and visibility. We curate all the projects that we take to market, but although we started off to a vision of enabling Hedera builders and early innovators with access to funding, we are now taking the right steps so that Headstarter becomes a central ecosystem hub for funding, whether that is startups that are having utility tokens all the way to different sorts of tokenizations, from real world assets to even, dare I say, memes. Now, what one important aspect is that we've continued to iterate on an initial product which was a more traditional launchpad. We wanted to give access to Hedera ecosystem contributors to the best projects, but also facilitated different crowdfunding mechanisms or products. So outside from the typical IDO, or which stands for initial DEX offering, to different INOs, initial NFT offerings, we continue to build new products that would help and create a more versatile go-to-market strategy for said Hedera projects. Not only do we offer the projects access to decentralized funding, but also we are trying to put together some additional resources for them to be successful in the form of different acceleration services. And these acceleration services can range from legal all the way to go-to-market strategy. And with all the projects that we work with, we try to put together a comprehensive and successful way of them launching, because ultimately what we need to make sure is that Hedera startups are funded so that they can reach the different milestones in order for them to really be the transformative force that the founders, I'm sure, have set up for themselves when deciding to build on a transformative platform such as Hedera.
It sounds like Headstarter is staying nimble and making sure that they bring the features to market that the market needs. Now, I am curious about a lot of things that are going on at Headstarter, particularly the staking. But what are some of your latest features that you're planning on bringing to market?
Thanks for the question, Brandon. So indeed, on our path to becoming an ecosystem funding hub, we need to make sure that users are coming to Headstarter platform not only when there is the latest DeFi or GameFi project launching on Hedera, but also because there are different ways of them to either engage with services, access yielding products. And our first step into becoming this funding hub I mentioned is the single-sided staking product that we've recently released. And this is the first step for Headstarter to become a circular economy. By this, we want to continue to distribute yield and the real yield that the different products are generating towards holders and the community. So looking at the Headstarter dApp at the staking section, we can see currently that there's around 26 million HST staked to date. We released this platform at the start of the month, and its current TVL is 360,000 USD. And in the V1 version, we're featuring two pools. We're featuring a locked pool for 15 days and also a flexible pool. So one of the key things that you might see in the Headstarter staking products is that we are addressing some of the concerns or improvements that the community had in the past to various products. For example, when it comes to HBAR staking, the yield proposed by different Headstarter pools will be higher, or for the flexible pool, at least 5% for the foreseeable future, while the locked pools would yield significantly higher APR. And not only is this APR lucrative, it also is something that is an innovation, we believe, because all the staking pools are continuously yielding. So all the pools are auto-compounded. By auto-compounded, it means that with every new block generated, the HST rewards that are being distributed proportionally to the stakers are considering the yielded amount to date. If we are looking at the two V1 pools that are currently live, we'll see that the first one that yields 40% APR is full at the moment. So as the demo, we're going to look into the flexible pool and try to commit this 10K HST amount to it. One of the other important things that we bring through the staking product is that you can grow your APR or boost it through the use of Headstarter utility NFTs. And here in this example, I have the Headstarter bronze coin, which I will add to my stake, taking the old boost amount, which has an APR of 5%, to a 5.25% through this 5% additional boost given by this utility NFT. We know that the Headstarter utility NFTs are pretty rare because they are burnable, and since they are in circulation, a lot of them have been burned against HST. With the advent of the Headstarter single-sided staking, we are now in a position where we want to make sure that there's a lot of Hedera users or HBARbarians that have access to Headstarter utility NFTs. And we're running currently a campaign where when you stake a minimum of 10,000 HST for 2 weeks in the V1 pools, based on a snapshot taken on the 30th of November, you will be able to receive a new utility NFT that you can also use to boost your Headstarter single-sided staking APRs, which we call the Moonrock. So we're looking forward to distributing this utility NFT to a wide range of HBARbarians.
Of course, none of this is financial advice, and you have to understand what your local jurisdiction has as far as regulation around if you can participate or not. But this does seem pretty exciting. And I am curious, you said this is around real yield. This is something that's a circular economy. How does that work? Where does that yield come from?
When it comes to Headstarter as a platform, we have different yielding products. And if you check our documentation in our roadmap, you'll see some exciting new functionalities that we'll be launching, such as stake pools, which extracts yield and delegates it based on certain rules. And also, we have a very exciting new product that I'm sure that the HBARbarian community will gravitate towards and back with a lot of excitement. I've been hinting about the job. You're going to hear a lot more in the next days or weeks, depending on when you see this video. But what we need to make sure when it comes to the products that we build today is that they are more than just a meme token. And when we're talking about a utility token, that utility token needs to have a certain velocity inside the ecosystem that you are building for it to become, for it to drive real value. And what we believe is important is to extract different real yield that you create from the different products, different DeFi products that you're putting out, to make sure that that your token, your utility token or utility NFTs are more than just meme coins. And this can gravitate. We can take this conversation upwards to a protocol level cryptocurrency, where you look at the yield generated from fees or taxation that you put forth by being a participant in that economy. And the same thing can be discussed about layer one networks. So we've seen today in the wide Web3 space that there are protocols, DeFi protocols, that are making more or a lot more yield than even the native layer one on top of which they're built. So we want to continue to innovate on this angle, and we're taking the first steps now.
All right, understood. Now, I asked Brady about this last week. I want to widen our lens out a little bit. I'm probably going to be talking to Brady about this a little bit this week as well, but you're also pretty in tune with the general DeFi landscape. What's your outlook for the HBAR economy in general?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So indeed, we're having a lot of conversations about what are the best next steps for Hedera when it comes to its growth, its next steps that we need to take together. And we've even set out and went the extra mile by co-funding the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance, where we're talking about a lot of the different infrastructural components that may be needed to take Hedera to, we believe, its rightful place in the Web3 market. And one of the key features that we've tried to evangelize for probably years now is the importance of retail in Hedera ecosystem, different retail facing applications, and this triples down to sources of yield, different stable coins that we might see on the Hedera network. We have currently USDC, we have HCHF from the HLiquidity team, but we need to continue to see more and more stable coins and different DeFi protocols, sources of yield, on-chain activity, and token velocity on the network for the Hedera space to really take its next step in growth. DeFi is a key pillar when it comes to an ecosystem, and alongside the HBAR community, I think that we have the secret ingredients to be successful as a chain. We just need to lean more into what we know are some of the proven and important features, especially targeting Web3 natives that need to be taken as soon as possible.
Tudor, well covered, and I completely agree on everything that you said. Is there anything else that you'd like to pass on to the Hedera community before we let you go?
Yeah, well, indeed, we've with the launch of single-sided staking, we have this promotional campaign. So make sure that if you want to get involved in the V1 version of Headstarter single-sided staking, you contribute in at least 10K HST towards the pool to be eligible for the Moonrock airdrop. And I know that we've been hinting from our social media accounts about a important job that we believe that we can deliver for the Hedera ecosystem that will create a lot of other jobs for HBARbarians. So stay tuned for announcements on that front. We might have an exciting onboarding campaign as we bring this exciting new product to market in the next few days.
Well, we'll keep a really close eye on all your socials. Tudor, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us about everything that you're working on, and good luck in the future.
Thanks. It's great to be here and looking forward to the next one.
Now I'd like to cover some other retail applications that we have in the Hedera space, and the first one comes from Twigital itself, my company. I was having some fun playing around with some Legos with my girls and decided that I was going to make a physical dead pixel, and after it was all said and done, I thought it looked pretty good, so I used my Twigital app and tokenized it, and I posted it to X. It was perfect because it was right before Halloween, so a ghost there hanging out in the real world I thought was pretty cool. We have some exciting stuff coming out around Twigital in the months to come. One of the main things people have been asking for is an Android version. We had some challenges around that, but some of the things that we developed, I think, are not only going to make the Android app possible, but it's also going to enhance our iOS app as well. Essentially, our goal is for every device to have access to the Twigital app. Next up, we had a Hedera community member, Crypto on Toast, highlight something. He said, just bought tickets to watch my local basketball team and discovered that the ticket ordering platform they used is built on Hedera. This is my first real-world experience using the Hedera network. The first, but not the last, I'm sure. And the platform he's talking about is Lokkaroom, and I'm pretty sure they are an HBAR Foundation grantee. We talked about ticketing last week through Galaxy, and it's good to see this stuff starting to gain traction. And it was really neat to see that this was a surprise for Crypto on Toast. He wasn't out there looking to use Hedera. He was just buying some tickets for a basketball game, and it happened to be on Hedera. And this is exactly what we were looking for, people to be using Hedera and not even know it. Another team that I'm really impressed with is Kabila. They've been knocking it out of the park with their plazas. You can see there's a lot of people engaging with it. We covered it some last week, but I wanted to get the information from the source itself, so I caught up with Manu, the CEO over there at Kabila, to give us some more information. Manu, welcome back.
Hi, Brandon. It's good to be here again.
Well, the reason why we have you back today is you launched your plazas, and it's been pretty impressive. So can you just tell us about them?
Yeah, so we launched Plazas last week. It's been one of the products that we were most excited about. It's been even more than a year thinking about this product, how we could find the main structure of the whole, dApp. We spent a lot of time researching other social dApps, Discord, different social fight apps, Reddit, many of them, and also getting the feedback from tokenized communities, from NFT communities. So we wanted to come with something that was not just a Web2 app with a wallet, but something that really tries to get the most of Web3, like ownership, owning the connection with your audience, and monetization for the value that you bring to the table, not just creators, but also users. So Plazas, this is just the beta, the first version. We have plenty of features and things that will be coming the next weeks, but we're excited on this.
Well, why don't you show us some of the initial features that you have in this initial launch?
Yeah, definitely. So here I am connected with my personal account. The moment I connect a wallet or an account here, I can instantly see the joined Plaza. So the app, what it's doing is just checking on the blockchain on Hedera, the NFTs that I hold, and based on those NFTs, those are official Plaza passes or NFT collections from different creators or brands. So if I hold KS NFT, a Sigua, or K NFT from Kabila, then it shows the Plaza. So I can do different things. I can read the posts. I can click and start reading the posts. I can comment, so I can participate in the conversation. And also we have this box feature where for now creators and communities, they can provide token gated access to folders and different files. It can be an audio, podcast, PDFs, or different sorts of things.
So boiling it down to its core, it's essentially just token-gated communities, and you're adding features all the time to make those more rich.
Exactly. So the idea is that we have the NFTs, and there's a lot of people seeing benefits on launching NFTs. So the thing that right now is that we don't have followers. What we have is holders. So it's not Kabila who tells the world, who are the creators and who are their followers. It's the blockchain. It's a public layer. They own their connections as long as they own the key of their treasury account, the account that created those collections. So not your keys, not your holders. We have mechanisms. So if you lost those keys, we can review that. But again, the way that you make sure that it's your community and your holders is that you never lose access to that treasury account. So in a way, it's a very simple protocol, open public protocol that anyone can use. If there is a moment where, there is a new Plazas app, for music, for example, the creator could just open connect their account there, and instantly they will have the whole audience there. That's the idea, that we own our communities. So that was the step one. Yeah. The other one is monetization tool. So I'm just going to show you something very quick here. But for example, we launched the Plaza, so we were asking for some new features, and people were commenting their best ideas on features they would like to see implemented. So we somehow gamified this comment section where people can comment and anyone can tip those comments. The good thing is we are leveraging the Hedera network for this. So it's very fast, very cheap to just tip someone with 15 cents, 45 cents, whatever. And those comments that bring value to the table, they got pushed in this timeline. So, this one, just with a comment, this guy won $6. So this is how we see the future of social spaces and communities. Like, we should be earning for the value we bring to those communities. So again, this is just one feature, many more coming in the next weeks. But yeah, that's one of the things that we had in mind.
Understood. I'm sure this past week has kind of been a whirlwind for you. You've been getting a fair amount of good feedback from the communities, though?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had, as you can see here, plenty of ideas and features. People, we wanted to have a first beta version very simple so that we started as soon as possible gathering all this feedback. There's a lot of people, bringing many ideas to the table. Now it's the hard job is to see which ones we prioritize, which ones will be in a second phase. In 2 days, we'll be releasing most of the common features, requested features. But the next iteration, there will be a very nice feature for tokenizing and allowing the community to participate a lot more in the conversation. So again, Yes, we're excited. Just there's so many things to be working on.
Well, it looks fantastic. So looking into the future, what's your broad vision for the plazas and Kabila as well?
We've been for the past 20 years, we've get used to creating content, spending time, using our energy to create valuable content online. But we thought that was free, that had no value at all. But it has a lot of value. There is actually billions of dollars in value for every action we take online. So our idea is to get a lot more of these. Like we saw that right now, when you own your community, you own your connections, you can actually own a lot more the monetization of everything that happens within that community. So we envision Kabila and plazas as those token gated spaces where creators and communities are really the owners of everything that happens inside. So that's how we see this: people getting back ownership of their connections, and people getting a lot more monetization for the value they bring to the table. So creators and users should be getting paid a lot more for that value. So that's our own goal, and this is step one. So we will see.
Moving to the ownership economy. So before I let you go, what would be the first steps for both somebody in one of these communities and for the creators themselves?
So as a user, the first thing you need to do here, because there's nothing public, so you would always need to go explore the plazas and check their NFTs. Or for example, again, we take this one, you check their passes, and if you want to join, you should click on those passes and see the benefits and utility they provide. So, okay, this is the one I would like to get. You can purchase that pass, and then you can start participating. If you're a plaza, right now, plazas are invite only. We will be opening this, but as a plaza, you could definitely create posts. You could create token-gated, files, token-gated folders. But the first thing you need to do as a plaza is to create at least one NFT collection, one plaza pass. So we help a lot also the users and creators to define that strategy, because maybe you want to have a pass that is very, it's less expensive and provides less utility, but allows more people to start getting into your plaza and learning more about the brand. And maybe then you have a more exclusive pass with more benefits. So those are things we're helping with.
Well, congratulations on the successful launch, Manu, and we're really looking forward to what you have coming in the future.
Thank you, Brendan. Thanks a lot.
So we've covered the creators. Now let's move on to the developers. A Hedera Hackathon has been announced, and I've been invited to be one of the judges. I've never experienced that, being a judge in a hackathon, so I'm really looking forward to that experience. But they put together a pretty cool trailer, so let's take a look at that as well. So like it showed there, that hackathon is going to be starting in just a few days, and it's going to be running through December 18th. The last thing I want to cover is what they're calling the Hedera Forum. It's going to be taking place down in Miami. And my favorite crypto journalist is going to be moderating this. It's going to be focusing on the crossroad between DLT and AI. So these are two exponential technologies that are absolutely going to change the world. And at first I thought this was just going to be a fairly small event, but it's a pretty big event. It's going to be going on from 1 p.m. until 7 p.m. And this is on November 13th. Speakers include Charles Atkins, Lehman Baird, representatives from DLA Piper, Prove AI, and we have some true HBAR in there. We have Jim Nasser from Acor, Ed Nwakati from Red Swan, Mei Chan from Hashpack, and I see we're even getting Rob Allen in there. Now, I had some stuff around Earthlings, but that's going to have to wait until next week. They're fine-tuning a few things, but you aren't going to be disappointed. With that, let's get into a little bit of network analysis and take a look at the HBAR market. Usually when I check in on network throughput, we're around a dozen TPS with dips to the single digits and spikes up to several dozen. I've seen crazy spikes over 100,000, and people have been posting about that on social media. I'm pretty sure these are just glitches, but I'll check with the Hashpoint team to see if they have any insights. Also, in the last week, we had 53,000 accounts created, 230,000 NFTs transferred, and 25,000 fungible token transfers. Looking at the HBAR and crypto markets, it was a good week following what looks to be a sweep by Republicans, and this all but guarantees comprehensive positive crypto regulation and even legislation in the next couple of years. Bitcoin is up 1.4% on the day and 11% on the week to a new record high over $77,000. HBAR is up 7.5% on the day and 15% on the week to 5.2 cents. Hopefully 5 cents has flipped to support and we can set our sights on 5.8 cents for resistance. I'm incredibly bullish on the crypto space as a whole, and if Hedera can correct some of the mistakes of the past 18 months, the HBAR will probably catch up in short order. Obviously, Rob Allen couldn't come on for Shark Bites this week. He got a little bit busy and couldn't come on as expected. Next week, he's going to be down in Miami for the in-person Hedera Governing Council meeting, and he gave me a heads up that it might be tough to do it then as well, but I'm going to try to bug him and see if he can jump on from the hotel. We're also going to get Earthlings on for next week and David from Fresh Supply Co. As always, if you're new to Hedera and you're curious about some of the things that are being built, you can check out my channel on YouTube and just search any keywords you might think of, like sports, payments, DPIN, refi, or even teams like Neuron and Hashpack. And you'll get videos to pop up for my Built on Hedera series that'll give you a really good idea of what's going on. That's pretty much all we have. We'll see you next week.